Hello, SquirrelTribe. I want to have a very short but very important conversation about what is happening right now with social media because of the news and the things that are going on. There has been a lot, and I mean a lot, of racial divide, push for racial divide over the last couple weeks, it seems. Anytime you get on social media, whether it's X, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, even TikTok, it feels like there's always something designed to make you either look at a story as, oh, well, they must be black, or, oh, well, they must be white. It is the dumbest thing in the history of dumb, and yet here we are, and it's been happening a lot recently. And I just want to point out a couple of things for a lot of people, specifically for the left. I know a lot of people think that if you happen to be a Republican or a conservative, or you voted for Trump, that you are a racist, that you are part of the KKK, all these different things. And the left and the Democrats seem to be pushing that. Now you may be asking yourself, why is it important who believes what when it comes to the racist undertones that have been going around through our country for the last, I want to say, obviously, like 9 years, the 4 years that Trump was in office, the 4 years that Biden was in office, and now, not a whole year that Trump's been back in office, but enough, it counts. For the last 9 years, there has been, I feel like, a massive push for racial divide that wasn't around when I was in, elementary school, middle school, high school, in my early 20s and early 30s, but lately it seems to be a lot. George Floyd was a big thing that pushed a lot of people left or right. Then you had Kyle Rittenhouse, which pushed a lot of people left or right. You have all these different things that are going on. January 6th pushed a lot of people left or right because they were looking at it from a Democrat versus Republican standpoint. And a lot of these things are looking at from a black versus white standpoint. And then, of course, we've had the whole issue with the illegal immigration and things over the last couple of years, 4 to be specific. And so then you have even more people of color that have been thrown into the mix of divide versus white, is what it seems like. And it's absolutely ridiculous. But there seems to be a very big misconception amongst the same people that are pushing this racial divide. And I just want to play something for you guys. Yesterday, if you saw my video yesterday was the hands-off rallies, I guess would be the right word. I don't really know. Protests that a lot of people were having against, they said, Donald Trump, but really it was against Elon Musk. Across all 50 states, there were places. I know Pensacola Beach had it. I know Washington, D.C. had it. There was Chicago. You had it in New York City. I believe San Diego or San Francisco. I'm not sure exactly which one. I don't know if I said Seattle, but Seattle. There were a lot of protesters showing up to basically say, hands off our Social Security, hands off our Medicaid, hands off our whatever else, just, fill in the blank kind of thing. And it's very interesting that the people that are having these conversations that are the most upset about things don't really seem to understand what party is for what at the end of the day. And they take a lot of the things that they're hearing from mainstream media or even on social media, and they're running with it. There's this TikTok that's going around talking about the similarities between John F. Kennedy and between Abraham Lincoln. And it's been shared with me numerous times as oh my gosh, look at this, look at all the facts here. And unfortunately, if you do a little bit of research, a lot of those things that are in this TikTok showing the similarities between John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln, they're not accurate. They're false. But because people are making these things and putting it out into the interwebs, the World Wide Web and the internet, whatever you want to call it, people see it and take it for fact and run with it. And the same thing is happening with a lot of the information that is being shared on social media and mainstream media, but specifically information that's false, that's designed to incite anger and violence in the left. And I'm going to put it that way because these are the people right now who seem to be having the biggest issue with life in general, but specifically Republicans, conservatives, independents, anybody who might have voted for Trump, or anybody who did not vote for Kamala Harris, anybody who did not like Joe Biden, or anybody who speaks out about any of them. But I want you to hear what happened at this one rally, protest, whatever you want to call it. This is at the DC rally protesting Trump administration policies, right? It's the handsoff2025.com. Like, they have their whole website and everything. That's how they set it all up. And there's a lot of big organizations that were part of this. And I just need you guys to hear exactly what happened here. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of fact to go along with this that kind of makes these women, unfortunately, look as ignorant as they sound in this video. And I just want you, again, just listen.
Our course, so we are very big on the chanting, and you'll have all the energy today. So, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA.
Now, the reason this is important is because these are Democrat women who are protesting against our Republican president, and they are saying no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA. Now, growing up in school, you learn a lot about slavery and racism, but you don't really learn about the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. You learn about your ex-presidents, your Abraham Lincolns, if you will. You learn about the Confederacy. You learn about stuff like that. But again, they don't really put the label of Democrat or Republican a lot of times in the things that you're learning in school. So a lot of people are brought up not knowing really who started what and where things originated from. And clearly these women and the entire crowd there that were chanting were brought up not being told the full truth about, I don't know, the KKK. So the KKK, for everybody who's curious, I can never say it, Ku Klux Klan, it's a tongue twister and it's stupid. It was not directly started by a political party, which is important to note. It was not started by a political party. It became political on a specific side, but it was not started by a political party. It was founded in 1865 by Pulaski, Tennessee, by a group of former Confederate soldiers, including notable figures like Nathan Bedford Forrest, as a social club. However, it quickly evolved into a violent white supremacist organization aimed at intimidating and suppressing newly freed Black Americans and opposing Reconstruction efforts after the Civil War. Historically, this is where it gets good. Historically, during its initial rise in the late 1860s, the KKK's membership and activities were closely aligned with the Democratic Party in the South. At that time, the Democratic Party was the dominant political force among white Southerners, many of whom opposed Reconstruction policies pushed by the Republican Party, which was associated with Abraham Lincoln and the abolition of slavery and federal efforts to secure rights for Black Americans. The KKK became a tool for some Democrats to resist these changes through terror and violence, targeting Black voters, Republican organizers, and their allies. That said, this is important. The KKK itself was not an official arm of the Democratic Party. So, I mean, obviously, that's very important to know. It's not like the Democratic Party came out and said, hey, let's have this little offset over here of people who want to terrorize Black men and women and, burn crosses and do all these kind of things. It operated, though, as a secretive, extra-legal group. Over time, its influence and membership have shifted. In the later iterations, like the 20th century revivals, its ties to any single party became less distinct, though it consistently drew support from individuals opposed to racial equality, regardless of formal party affiliation. Today, the KKK is broadly condemned across the political spectrum in the U.S. But here's the problem. It's condemned as something that is Republican. It's condemned as something that if you happen to vote Republican or you are a patriot, they have now considered the word patriot to also mean racist. All of these things that go together that are completely false. What's great to me here is where it says, the KKK became a tool for some Democrats to resist changes through terror and violence, targeting Black voters, Republican organizers, and their allies. Does that not sound like everything the Democrat Party itself has been doing over the past couple of months since the beginning of the election process when Joe Biden was taken off the ballot by, let's go ahead and name them all, Pelosi, Obama, Schumer, all of them. They took him off that presidential ballot and threw Kamala Harris on there. But everything that's been going on for the past couple months is through terror and violence. These protests that we keep seeing, the domestic terrorism of setting Tesla dealerships on fire, of causing absolute chaos to cities and areas where somebody may be driving their Tesla, or they may be just a Republican wearing a MAGA hat. You guys have seen the video, and I've talked about it, of this young kid in a subway in, I think, New York City, not 100% positive on the city. Don't quote me on that one. Young Hispanic looking child wearing a Make America Great Again hat, who was chased off of the subway by a liberal white female in her 40s. Like, why is this what happens? They're targeting black voters. Same thing that they did for the KKK, the Democratic Party, just they targeted them a different way over the last couple months. They targeted them by trying to convince them that Republicans were the racist, fascist people out there, when in actuality, it's been the Democrat Party for the longest time. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now that you have the ability for social media to spin things and to put its own narrative on it and throw it out there like it's fact and people run with it, that causes even more issues, even more divide, political divide, racial divide, all kinds of things. Where I live, it's time for Georgia to go on spring break. And I follow a lot of pages on Facebook, and one of them is Panama City Beach. In Panama City Beach, the Redneck Riviera is what it has been labeled. They are constantly posting about how they're not looking forward to Georgia spring break because of all of the, and then insert any racial explicative that you want. Explicative? Is that the word? Expletive? I'm throwing in extra letters there. Expletive that you want. And it's like beyond racist. And I don't understand how we have gotten so far from, let's all be one to let's all be segregated, and let's have this mental divide on who's good and who's not, and it's absolutely ridiculous to me. But when I see videos like the women standing up at the protest yesterday and trying to say that if you are Trump or you're a Trump supporter or anything else, that it's KKK, the ignorance is absolutely mind-boggling there. And the fact that nobody seems to want to correct the misinformation that these women are standing on a stage and, chanting out to their group of other ignorant people in the crowds. Listen, when something happens in our society, we have been programmed, thanks to mainstream media and now thanks to social media, to immediately think about it in a class system type way, whether we're looking at it in a racial way or we're looking at it in a haves money, does not have money kind of way, whether we're looking at it as male versus female. We have been programmed to have these certain prejudices or these certain, what's the right word here? These certain, I can't think of it, but you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And you would think by now we would be past stuff like that. So I just this is just like my reminder to anybody who may be from the left side, who somehow the YouTube algorithm is showing you my video. I'm not quite sure why, unless they want to piss you off. But for those of you who happen to not know the difference between who started the KKK and who did not, now you know, because the more you know, right? Anyway, Squirrel Tribe, I love you. Thank you for letting me have this eye-opening conversation with you. I would like to hear your comments in the comment section below. I'm curious what you think about everything we just spoke about. Okay, that's it. Love y'all. Bye.